Yay! Hello, 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 all of my fine fellows. It's Tuesday, Tarot Reviews Day, and I am back with another deck from my magnanimous collection. Here we go. This one is really neat. Blammo! This is the Flowers Oracle by Antonella Castelli. She's the illustrator. And the writer of the deck is Mara Tuveri. And this is from my favorite Italian brand, Lo Scarabeo, the Scarab. And I really was so immediately attracted to the Oracle because of its artwork. It's sort of done in that like Alphonse Mucha Art Nouveau sort of style where we have those beautiful circular framing devices and the lovely undulating flowers. I really, really like this deck a lot. Very luxurious artwork. I would have liked it to be a little bit more like blended out. There's something a tiny bit cartoony about it, but I really like, look at how powerful that stance is, how confident, right? So very expressive figural artwork, some really interesting like third perspectives where we're getting like a more dynamic perspective coming from either below or above in some cases. But I really just love the prettiness of it, the lightness, the airiness, the flowers. Although it's not too airy. I would say it's more earthy. It's very grounded. Beautiful jewel tones. It ticks off a lot of boxes for me personally. I love the like sort of Gibson girl, like when we're getting into like the sort of, what's it called, fin de siècle, the kind of like end of the century aesthetic. It melts all of my butter. So Art Nouveau is elves, Art Deco is dwarves, for those of you who have a hard time telling between the two. That's an old internet adage that I think is very useful. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Art Nouveau aesthetic. This deck is based off of a previous deck, I think, that the illustrator did, where she was going into Edward Bach's work on flowers. For those of you who don't know, he was sort of the person who founded the ideas of homeopathy and the flower essences. Like if you've seen Bach's flower essences in the stores, that's where you take like a teeny, teeny, tiny bit of the essence out of a flower. He used to just collect them in dew, and then he started soaking them in water and letting sun, like basically making an infusion with these flowers. And then doing half of the floral infusion with some brandy. And you take a few drops under the tongue. And there's no science that supports that any of this works. But the thing is that it was a very intuitive method where it was very custom tailored toward that patient and whatever their particular proclivities might happen to be. Because Bach thought that illness was cognitive dissonance, a result of this dissonance between what the spirit wants and what the ego wants. And the two of them sort of having a fight in your body. And that is what triggers a lot of illness. And so he would go around, and when he had a patient and he would walk through a meadow and he would just hold his hands over flowers and concentrate. And he basically let the flowers speak to him. And that's kind of the theory of this deck, where this is the flowers speaking to us. So last week we had fairies speaking to us. This week, this is a portal to our flower spirits. And so I think that's just a really appropriate way to start off June, because we're getting ready for summer. So many lovely meadows are in bloom at this time. And it's easy to have a relationship with the flowers at this time of year, where everything is just coming up and in your face, and all of that beautiful, beautiful color just kind of bursting out. It's a great time. So I picked up 2 more cards, so we'll do 2 more cards. And then let's give her a little shuffle-roo. Such a lovely deck. let's give her a little shuffle-roo and see if the deck has a message for the collective. This deck is definitely a buy for somebody who, if you are just really into either the aesthetic or if you are really like, if you're into flower spirits, this is a really, really good deck because it was really made with that intention in mind to like be in relationship with floral spirits. All right. Here we go. Ooh, so we have number 13, Gorse. So let's take a look at the book and see what Gorse has to say to us. The thing I like about decks from Los Scarabeo is that the books come in 4 languages. So if you're learning a language like me, it's really handy to be able to have an oracle deck that has interpretations both in English and the language that you want to learn, or vice versa. So let's see. Gorse says to us, change your perspective on the world and find peace again. You and your loved ones will come up with new solutions that have thus far eluded you. There are different paths to be taken. Just let yourselves imagine them. The world will change color if you truly desire to do so. Let's go back to this idea of Edward Bach and cognitive dissonance, this thing where it's like you have these 2 parts of you and one thing says, oh my God, like, for the first thing coming to my head is dishes for some reason. So let's go with that. The part of you that's like, oh my God, I like to have things around me clean and nice. I like to do the dishes. But then the other part of you that's like, oh my God, I'm super tired. I want to rest, or I would rather go out and do this thing. Like, sometimes your soul is telling you to do something and your ego is telling you to do another thing, right? When you're looking at things through the lens of ego, it's a lot harder to deal with that tension. When you are, so for instance, just follow me on this journey. Side story, Ruckle is about to go off here. So let's go pop off on this journey together. So I am taking a course in something called parts work. And so when you say, oh, there's this part of me that wants to go and do this thing, and then a part of me that thinks it's a bad idea, you have to, these are real things. These are real actual parts, your soul in fragments. And you say, what part of me wants this? And what part of me doesn't want this? And when you do that, if you find that you're resenting that part of you, if you're resenting one of those parts, if you're angry at one of those parts, then you're not looking at it through the lens of your spirit. You're not looking at it through the lens of soul. Soul looks at things with confidence, with curiosity, with compassion, right? It's not saying, oh my God, why do I always want to go lie on the couch instead of doing my dishes? Yay, we cut back to the original thing, right? So if you find that you're working through a problem, this is a collective reading. If you're working through a problem, or you're looking at the world's problems, or just whatever it is that's making you feel the tension, the snag inside, the anger, the annoyance, right? Whatever is making you feel these negative feeling states, which are fine because we have to process our negative feeling states before we can do anything about it, right? Oh my God. We have to peel that back and say, okay, what part of me is feeling that negative feeling state? And keep peeling that back until you get to the part where you're feeling curiosity, compassion, confidence. One of those, not a positive feeling state, but a soul feeling state. That you know that it's your higher self looking at the situation because there's a level of detachment there, right? So if you are facing a situation right now where you're dealing with the negative feeling states, parse it out. Chicory, right? If I'm thinking of the right thing and I think, oh no, this is not chicory, this is gorse. So forget what I was going to say. But what I was going to say about chicory, because this might just be important, what chicory does is that it opens at certain times and it closes at certain times, right? There are times where you need to like rest and look and reflect. And there are times where you can be open and happy and what have you. It's like an onion. You've got to peel it back and peel it back and peel it back, those parts of yourself. I hope this message makes sense. It's going to make sense to whoever it's going to make sense to, right? Whoever this message is for, it's going to make sense. Just do that work with yourself when you find yourself in that tension. That is what the wisdom of Gorse is trying to tell you right now. It's trying to tell you to look into that tension and try and change your frame, try and change your perspective. And don't do it from a place where you're repressing something. Do it from that place where you've done the work of peeling back. What part of me is feeling this dissonance? What part of me is feeling annoyed that I'm feeling the dissonance? What part of me is feeling sick and tired and bored of the fact that I keep going through this, right? Like, this is how we break those cycles and break those patterns. This is how we push through to seeing things from positive feeling states. This is how we push through to authentically getting back to self and finding that detachment in even the shittiest, most groundless situations, right? Ooh, I think I just said a cuss on Facebook. Okay, oh my God, so sorry. What is it? Community standards, boo. So if they shut me down, you know why. Anyway, take care of yourself and try and do the work to change your framing of whatever it is that you're going through until you get to that place where you can authentically, genuinely get through to that compassion for yourself. And that is what the wisdom of Gorse has for you today. All right, thank you so, so much for joining me here. So grateful to all of you who stay to the end. Be well, be blessed, have a wonderful week. If you need to polish off any corners on this reading, please DM me and I am happy to book a reading with you. Much love. Have a great week.